Emma had been working as a nurse at City General Hospital for 15 years. She'd drawn thousands of blood samples, but nothing had prepared her for what she would discover on one quiet Tuesday afternoon. Her 2 p.m. appointment was routine. Edgar Oakley, mid-50s, standard blood work. He seemed pleasant enough as he settled into the chair and rolled up his left sleeve. "Beautiful day outside," Emma said, preparing her equipment. "Though I barely got to see it with how busy we've been." "Tell me about it," Edgar replied cheerfully. "The traffic from Fairfield was insane." As Emma tied the tourniquet around his upper arm, she glanced down to locate the best vein. That's when she saw it. A small tattoo just above his left elbow. 3 numbers in simple black ink. 1936-122. The numbers hit Emma like a physical blow. She'd seen them before. She was certain of it. "Interesting tattoo," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Does it have special meaning?" Edgar's friendly demeanor shifted instantly. His shoulders tensed as he pulled his arm back slightly. "It's personal," he said guardedly. "Family thing. Hard to explain." He quickly changed the subject to the weather, making it clear the tattoo was off limits. Emma completed the blood draw in awkward silence, but those numbers echoed in her mind. 1936-122. The rest of Emma's shift passed in a blur. She couldn't shake the feeling that she'd seen those numbers before, somewhere connected to family. When her shift ended, she practically ran to her car. At home, Emma headed straight to the attic, where her family photos were stored. In the far corner sat an old wooden cabinet that had belonged to her grandmother, Rose. Emma yanked open the dusty doors and pulled out the oldest photo album. She flipped through pages of black and white photos from her grandmother's youth, then early color photographs of her parents and herself as a child. Then a loose photo fluttered out and landed in her lap. Emma picked it up with trembling hands. It showed her, at about 5 years old, proudly displaying a temporary unicorn tattoo on her arm. But what made her breath catch was her grandmother, standing beside her, also holding out her arm with a proud smile. On Rose's forearm, in the same simple black ink, were the numbers, 1936-122. Emma stared at the photo, her heart pounding. How could Edgar have the exact same tattoo as her grandmother? She pulled out the paper, where she jotted down Edgar's numbers. Perfect match. A memory surfaced from when her grandmother died 20 years ago. There had been confusion about Rose's will. A significant portion of her estate had been distributed to someone unknown before the family could claim their inheritance. Could Edgar be connected to that mystery? The next day during lunch break, Emma used her hospital access to look up Edgar's address. 19 Mill Road Creek, Fairfield, Ohio. Something about it seemed familiar. That evening, Emma drove to Fairfield. As she followed winding country roads, she tried to prepare herself for whatever she might discover. When she turned onto Mill Road Creek, the long, sandy driveway ahead triggered a memory. She'd seen this driveway in one of her grandmother's old photos. Emma checked her GPS coordinates and felt her blood run cold. 36.122, negative 19.xx degrees. The same numbers from the tattoo, just in coordinate format. This was her grandmother's childhood home. Emma parked and walked slowly toward the old farmhouse. It looked exactly like it had in her grandmother's photos. She knocked on the front door, her heart hammering. Edgar opened the door, and his expression wasn't surprise. It was relief. "Emma," he said quietly, "I wondered when you might figure it out and come here." "You know who I am?" Emma stammered. Edgar nodded and let her in. "I recognized your name from your badge, Thompson, and when you asked about my tattoo, I knew it was only a matter of time." They sat in his living room, surrounded by furniture Emma somehow recognized. Edgar poured tea from a pot that looked exactly like one her grandmother used to own. "Your grandmother Rose was my grandmother too," Edgar said gently. "But that's a story that was kept hidden from your side of the family." Emma stared at him, trying to process his words. During a difficult period in their marriage, Rose had a brief relationship with another man. That relationship resulted in a daughter, my mother. Emma's mind reeled. Her grandmother had had another child? "It was a different time," Edgar continued softly. Rose's husband couldn't accept raising another man's child, and Rose couldn't bear to break up her family. So my mother went to live with her biological father, but Rose never stopped being part of her life. She raised two families? Emma whispered. Secretly, yes. Rose would visit my mother regularly, and when I was born, she was very much part of my life too. This house was Rose's childhood home. When she died, she left it to my mother as her inheritance. That's why there was missing money from the will your family received. Emma looked around the room with new eyes. The familiar furniture, the photos, they were all her grandmother's belongings. The tattoo represents the coordinates of this house, Edgar explained, rolling up his sleeve. Rose got it when she was in her 70s. She said it represented all the families she loved, both the families she lived with and the families she had to love from a distance. He paused, his eyes reminding Emma strikingly of her grandmother's. When Rose died, I got the same tattoo to honor her memory. I had no idea anyone from your side of the family would ever see it. Emma wiped tears from her eyes. All these years, we wondered where part of the inheritance went. Rose made the lawyer promise never to reveal the truth unless someone specifically asked. She wanted to protect everyone's feelings even after she was gone. I'm sorry my reaction at the hospital seemed rude, Edgar said. I've spent my whole life keeping this secret. When you asked about the tattoo, I panicked. Emma shook her head. I should apologize for looking up your address. I violated your privacy. I was just desperate to understand the connection I felt. Edgar patted her hand. Given the circumstances, I understand. Finding out you have family you never knew about is overwhelming. As the evening wore on, Edgar shared stories Emma had never heard. He showed her photographs of Rose with his mother and him, revealing a side of their grandmother that had been hidden for decades. She talked about you often, Edgar said, showing Emma a photo of Rose holding young Edgar. She was so proud when you became a nurse. She said you inherited her caring nature. Emma felt bittersweet joy learning these new pieces of her grandmother's story. Rose had been even more complex and loving than she'd ever imagined. Rose wanted to tell your family the truth near the end, Edgar said, but she was afraid it would cause pain and division. She thought it was better to let sleeping dogs lie. As Emma prepared to leave, Edgar walked her to the door. You're welcome here any time, he said. I'd like you to meet my mother when she's feeling better. She's in assisted living now, but I think she'd love to meet Rose's other granddaughter. Emma hugged him, feeling like she'd found a missing piece of herself. I'd like that very much. Thank you for sharing the truth with me. Driving home through the darkening countryside, Emma thought about the chain of events that led to this discovery. If Edgar hadn't needed blood work, if she hadn't been assigned his case, if she hadn't noticed his tattoo, Rose's secret might have died with her. But perhaps it wasn't coincidence. Perhaps it was Rose's way of finally bringing her divided family together, even from beyond the grave. Emma smiled through her tears, knowing her grandmother's love had been even bigger than she'd ever imagined. The mystery of the missing inheritance was solved, but more importantly, she'd gained a new branch of her family tree. The tattoo that started it all, those simple numbers representing coordinates, home, and family, had led Emma to a truth she never could have expected. Sometimes the most profound discoveries come from the smallest details, and sometimes family finds a way to reunite itself across the years. As Emma pulled into her driveway, she was already planning her next visit to 19 Mill Road Creek, where her grandmother's biggest secret had finally been revealed. What did you think of this incredible story? Have you ever discovered a family secret that changed everything? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. Thanks for watching.